Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy, and welcome back to a brand new movie review. I'm Chris Garner, joined today with George Aldridge, and we're going to give our review on Rampage, which is the 2018 science fiction monster movie directed by Brad Peyton, starring everyone's favorite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We don't have a plan for this one, so we're going to be winging this one, but we're going to try and keep it as spoiler-free as possible, although if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what kind of movie this is. And we'll get to spoilers much further down the line. I don't think there's all that much to give away, but we'll do our best to keep it to a minimum. How are you doing tonight, George?
I am very well. I'm recovering from The Rock and the man, the living legend.
Well, you put it the best, actually, because you said this movie was kind of your dream come true in that you've got your idol.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson teams up with his best friend, George. 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 He says it many times for those that have seen it. They team up together to save the world. He just wants to help his friend.
Absolutely.
It's like Chewbacca and Han Solo.
This is going to be like the next best duo. So the plot for this thing, really like bog standard basic. When three different animals become infected with a dangerous pathogen, a primatologist and a geneticist team up to stop them from destroying Chicago. And that's pretty much the entire movie there. I'm not going to beat around the bush with this one. This movie, I had fun at this. It's a very entertaining movie, but it didn't do anything different from what I expected it to. And to be fair, it didn't need to. Sometimes you just need a movie where a giant gorilla, a giant wolf, and a giant crocodile tear apart a city. And it does exactly what it says on the tin, and nothing more, nothing less. And that's pretty much my review on the movie.
Yeah, this is a film that I'm not excited for. It was a film starring The Rock, so he's already got my money. And then these trailers came out, and you knew this was just going to be insane. When we talk about the Transformers films, I know everyone hates them.
I'm going to be bringing up the Transformers films later.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you can just switch off your brain and just watch nonsense for a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that film. I mean, video game films are like a dead, doomed genre.
Mm-hmm.
This is currently the highest percentage on Rotten Tomatoes of all the video game films ever. And it's on 53%. And this is what I love, because I don't follow the reviews as much, but Rotten Tomatoes, I always look at as intrigue.
Mm.
And one half is literally, this is fun, switch your brain off, this is nonsense, you'll enjoy it. The other half is, I didn't enjoy it, this is nonsense, this is nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew you knew what this film was going to be 6 months ago. I mean, I've never played the Rampage game. You're our witness for this. You have a copy of it in your room now.
Yes, I do. I'm going to show that in a minute.
And so with me, my experience with this is I don't know anything about the game other than there's giant monsters. And when that first trailer dropped, I will say immediately that I was shocked at how good the CG looks.
Yeah.
With a film like this, you expect really bog standard, below par, cheap CGI. And there is a couple of shots in this, notably explosion shots. There's very poor CGI, just the bog standard fire effect going on top of a helicopter. But the renders on the creatures are some of my favorite designs I've seen in a long time. I'd never know I could talk in this much detail about a film about three giant monster things. But what they focused their CGI budget on, they've done a fantastic job with. I think that's a fair way of doing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, before I even did my reaction video, you caught the trailer before me, and you said that, wait till you see the special effects in this. And special effects are kind of a dime a dozen now. It's really, unless you've got a War for the Planet of the Apes kind of thing, or something that does something truly special with it, because there's so much of it in every movie now, you don't really zone in on it. But watching this movie, and as you said, there are some exceptions to it, notably a certain scene where they're got parachutes and jump out of a plane. That was really awful CGI. You can definitely see there's some scenes where they pushed most of their budget to. But the end part in Chicago looked great, and the monsters look great, and it is probably going to be. Do you think this is going to get nominated for best visuals or something like that?
Never.
Because I actually hats off to the people who did all the visuals, and the credits in that department was so long. I sat through the credits in case there was going to be a post-credit scene. There wasn't, by the way. But the amount of names that were just scrolling up, it was absolutely insane for it.
I mean, what we both kind of said from the original trailer is that the render on George looks exactly like
Winter.
Winter from War of the Apes. And this is also, I mean, I can't remember. I think Waiter Digital did the effects for Planet of the Apes, and don't actually know who's done it, but it literally looked like the exact same render, and I don't think there's an issue with that. I hope it is then, because it was fantastic CGI.
Yeah.
But one thing I forgot what I was actually talking about now. God, well, sorry, I'm just trying to find out who did the CGI, but everything is the design. I want to say immediately off the go that for a film that has a lot of flaws, it's a lot of fun. Like you're right, the plane explosion was bad. It had horrible. I said this before we hit record that whenever we talk about the prequels, as in Star Wars and The Hobbit, when we have our arguments, there's only one sentence which ends the debate, which is the GoPro in the barrel sequence.
Yeah.
And I mean that sticks out like a sore thumb. This isn't the conversation for that, but that wasn't a level which I just didn't think was possible, especially for a franchise that's won like 17 Oscars.
Yeah.
In this, they somehow outdo it, and it looks like when he jumps out of the plane, it goes cinematic to GoPro. But the worst thing is, it's like when your parents take a selfie on holiday. It's like their chin, like they're doing the thumb face, and that's what this GoPro camera is of the Rock in the parachute. I've got no idea why this shot needed a GoPro. I mean, if you're going to put a GoPro in this, there's so many better options they could have done, but it was very weird, and I think that like just demonstrates this film. Like it was just nonsense.
Yeah, it was a shame because it was actually a really, up until that point, was a great action sequence and really inventive with what they were doing, and then it just like ruined the ending with some like really shoddy point of view camera, like close-up shots, like someone shaking a camera around in their face. So the game itself, like this is going back to my childhood right now. I still have it. I actually showed this off in my reaction video. This is my original Game Boy Color that I had. It still works. I didn't turn it on for about 10 years, and the batteries are still fine in there. And the game that was actually still left in there was Rampage World Tour, which was the sequel that came out. I think it came out in '97, so I would have been about 4 years old when I got hold of this. And I put so many hours into this game. It was a real simple premise. You could play as George the gorilla, as Ralph the wolf. And it's actually funny that when I actually saw the design for the character of Ralph in the game, for the longest point, I thought it was a rat. It kind of looked like a rat face, and then the trailer came out and said it was a wolf, and like everything I'd known as a kid was all a lie, and it like completely changed my perception. There is a giant rat in this movie though, so I don't know if that was like a tip into the hat to that. And then you have Lizzie, which is like your Godzilla one. I don't know if it's explicitly said that it's a crocodile in the game. And you just go from stage to stage. You have to trash every building, wreck every car to progress to the next one, and that's pretty much it. So that's why I'm not as hard on this movie being based on a video game. Like, it does exactly kind of what the game does. Like Assassin's Creed, when it has all this like rich lore and legacy, or Tomb Raider, which is beloved and is like one of the cornerstones of PlayStation, for example. This game, like it's the movie itself is pretty much a direct adaptation of this game. Although I have seen some people saying that it does play kind of fast and loose with the material. Like I think in the game, and this is trying to like remember back to when I was like 4 years old playing this game. I think that the monsters themselves were humans that transformed into the monsters and then wreaked havoc. Whereas in this one, they are just the animals themselves, which I actually preferred. I think that would be stupid if you had a guy like transforming into a giant gorilla. There'd be no rhyme or reason to it. But the game was fun and the film was fun, and that's really all I can say. I don't really think there's much else I can say about this one. We could talk about performances, I guess, if you want to move on to that.
Yeah, if we begin with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because let's be honest, he's the only reason this film was probably made.
Yeah.
He is, we've said this many times, not just that I love him, but he is the only 80s action star left in terms of he will do a film and it will be a hit. People say Baywatch flopped. Well, actually, it doubled its budget, so it recouped money. If that wasn't The Rock, that film would have made even less, like 50 million less. And I think he is the sole reason for this film. I mean, it was with Brad Payton, who I think did San Andreas with him.
Yeah, he's worked with him a bunch of times. He's done that, what is it, Journey 2, whatever it's called, Mysterious Island, whatever it's called. He's worked with him on that, San Andreas, and I think he's worked on one other one as well. Let me have a look. Journey 2, San Andreas. No, so okay, this is the third collaboration with The Rock.
So it's a guy that he knows who he's doing. He does 7 Books production company. He's high up in that. He picks his projects. He produces them. He's like he can do what he wants. And so you look at this film, and it's really hard to talk about The Rock because The Rock is The Rock. It doesn't matter what he does. He's in the ring in wrestling. He's doing these films. He is always going to be the same fucking amazing person. He will always be. But you hit a really good point earlier, and he's not the best thing about this film. We'll get to that later. But I mean, we're off the back of Jumanji. That film is, I think, on now 994 million.
It's ridiculous how much that movie made.
I no one would have ever anticipated a film. Not the fact that a Jumanji reboot / sequel. The fact this came out the same day as The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And I give all the credit in the world to Sony for actually making a good film. The Rock, the characters, all of it. And he's gold. He's gold at the box office. And this is, I mean, I think he's only got 2 films coming out this year. This and that horrible Die Hard remake. But I thought for what this film is, it suited The Rock being in it. If anyone's going to team up with a giant gorilla to fight some of the monsters at the end,
it's going to be The Rock.
It has to be The Rock. Like, it is. I mean, I was half expecting him to sort of do like something out of like Power Rangers and just grow to like 200 foot in size and just be a giant rock, or take the medicine or whatever it is they have and become one. But
or he's the one to take out the monster at the end himself.
Yeah, and like you could have imagined it doing it. But
yeah.
He is the main focal point of the film. He suits what the film is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a performance where you can say this is Oscar worthy, incredible. It's The Rock being The Rock in an action film suited for The Rock. There's nothing more that needs to be said.
Like if this movie had have come out in the like 80s, like early 90s, you would have had like a Schwarzenegger or a Stallone in this role. Like I think you would have had that. And we've talked before, like where you could argue that Dwayne Johnson is sort of the modern day equivalent of that 80s leading man action star. He can do comedy, he can do the action roles and things like that. And the beginning of this film where like they're walking through the jungle, it is almost like a deleted scene right out of Jumanji. Like I think he's in exactly the same outfit as he was, like the same kind of character. There's a lot of other background characters in this movie that I don't like, though, and the screenplay was written by 4 different people, and essentially at the beginning of the film, Dwayne Johnson has like a sort of group around him, and I thought that they would be consistent throughout the movie, but it gets to a point where they really sort of like just drop out the movie. You have this sort of like geeky guy who's got the tranquilizer gun. You've got this woman who's trying to get with The Rock and try to get him on a date. You've got this one who's the scaredy cat who's like tagging along with them. And I thought you would have that core group throughout, but really they kind of drop out the movie after the first act's all said and done, and then we're introduced to a new set of characters. I don't know if that was like different drafts of the scripts or something like that, but I'm going to go to my Transformers comparison now. Not only is it set in Chicago, and watching this movie with all the levels of destruction, when skyscrapers are falling down, it was reminding me of Dark of the Moon quite a lot. I don't know if it was the same building from Dark of the Moon, which was that big action set piece from that movie with Soundwave, like the giant mechanical worm. It looked a lot like it, though, and I think if you had have kept with that core cast at the beginning, I liked them. I liked the interplay, but I could see a comparison drawing there to that Michael Bay level style of writing and comedy where they really sort of outstay their welcome a little bit.
Yeah, especially in the earlier scenes, it's like, oh God, we've got the good-looking girl, the guy trying to be really cool and funny, and already you're tutting. And then The Rock calls them out on their BS straight away. And it's not really a funny moment, but it's kind of, that's really the only bad time we get that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's meant to be a reference to that type of filmmaking or that nonsense, or if it's actually trying to be funny in itself. But immediately it's like, okay, I really hope these guys aren't the characters we're going to stick with for the film. And luckily they aren't. And we do get Naomi Harris come in. And I mean, she's not a bad actress. It's weird. I don't sound weird, but we don't really see her in blockbusters, especially Hollywood stuff. I mean, obviously we know her as Moneypenny from the new Bond films and a couple of other things, but it was like, I don't want to say a pleasant surprise, but it kind of was. That it wasn't, I mean, like, she is good looking, don't get me wrong, she is the love interest, but it wasn't that 18-year-old model that's going to fall in love with The Rock. It was, you know, this is a middle-aged actress who's just fine. And it didn't add or take anything away from the film.
I'm really torn on this because I do love Naomi Harris. I think she's a fantastic actress. I think she was wildly miscast for this role. Not saying that I did want like a kind of bimbo character or anything like that, but as you said, like with this kind of movie, you would expect like the leading female role to be something akin to that. I just think she had no chemistry with Dwayne Johnson throughout this entire movie, and they don't go all out with it, but they kind of skirt the line, especially towards the end of will they, won't they? Is this going to be like a kind of relationship? And it's just not earned up until that point. There is no moment throughout this film where I could see these two characters together.
I didn't like that side to it. She's fine. The focus isn't on her character, really. It's not really focused on Dwayne Johnson. I was going to this film to see these monsters tear apart cities, and just purely for the eye candy of the visuals. That's all I was going to for this movie. So the characters were just kind of formulaic, just to get you from A to B, to get you to the destruction, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's all it was. And the thing is, you didn't need any big, interesting characters and stuff like that. I know that does sound quite weird, but for what this film does, you aren't going to care about these characters. So don't spend your time establishing them. Of course, they have to do a backstory and whatnot, but you don't really care in the nice way. Yeah. You're in this film to watch the giant monsters. It reminded me of Kong Skull Island, and this is nowhere on par. But Kong Skull Island knew what it was. It was a film about King Kong fighting these giant dinosaur things. They took that timeline, and to be fair, they then established character roles. You had one very compelling character arc within the film. You didn't care about any of the other characters, but there was that one compelling story, and that made all the difference. And I had some similarities with this. It knew what it was, and it was having fun doing it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that kind of goes into the villain role as well, which to me is the weakest part of this film. You've got your three villains anyway, technically, with the monsters anyway. So any other villain you need to do is just sort of going to be that, again, like a setup to get you to that point. And we've got Malin Ackerman and sort of like a henchman who's with her, who are the head of this. Yeah.
Her brother, but there was, I swear, and it looked a bit more incesty than...
Yeah, there was a thing going on there. Because I don't think it's just explained that they're brother and sister until like halfway through the movie or 3/4. They dropped that line, and I was like, oh, I thought they were like a thing at this point. But it's weird with this movie. We've got Malin Ackerman and Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a movie together since Watchmen, so that was kind of weird. It was like Silk Spectre and the comedian back in a movie together. I don't think Malin Ackerman's a great actress. She's kind of just fine. And she worked for the villain role, but the villains just weren't written interestingly at all. They're the head of this evil science company. And I've got to try and find the name for it because I was reading a little bit about
Enzyme or something like that.
I was going to say Genesis with a Y.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh God, what was it called? I can't remember. It's like
Enzyme or some weird, basically genetic company. Was it Genesine or something?
Genesine, that's it. Yeah, but the actual name of the evil corporation, the evil science people in the video games, is called Scum Labs, which is amazing. Like, with a movie this dumb, I wish they'd have just called it all that out right from the beginning. But no, unfortunately, we don't get Scum Labs in this one. They're fine. They're really just incidental. However, there is one side character in this movie that is arguably better than Dwayne Johnson in this movie. And again, I'm going to go to another Transformers comparison here. I promise this is going to be my last one at this point. He did feel kind of like an Agent Simmons kind of character, where you have this completely balls to the wall sort of Sector 7 kind of character. And that's Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this film. He's playing like... I haven't seen Walking Dead, so I'm only guessing his character is similar to this, but he's like a cowboy voice that he's putting on, and it's amazing. He's like easily my favorite character in this movie.
I was going to say, I've still never seen Walking Dead. I've seen that Negan clip that everybody ended up watching. But I know a lot of people, I mean, all respect to people that are still watching it.
Every time like the announcement comes out, like Walking Dead season 9 starting soon, I'm like, is that show even still on the air? Like, haven't they found a fucking cure for it yet? Like,
and didn't they do a spin-off and that's still going as well?
Yeah, Fear the Walking Dead, that wasn't it?
I think Negan's that one Negan episode probably gave them 3 more seasons of airtime. But apparently he is the best thing about Walking Dead now, and I've obviously seen that clip, but I've seen him in, of course, Watchmen as the comedian. You don't really get much of him, though. But seeing him in this, he did stand out, and I thought he had really good chemistry with The Rock.
Yeah, no, he did.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if he's the kind of actor that can be good with anybody. I assume he could. But Negan is the best thing about this. Oh, yeah, he is the best thing about this film. Even better than the giant monsters fighting each other. Not every line, but you're right. I think Agent Simmons is a good comparison because he's kind of doesn't belong in that film, but he does.
Yeah.
And he just pops up out of nowhere all the time. Like, he's one of those kind of old school characters that they just come whenever, and it's like Harry Potter, like they just appear at the right time, at the right moment. and he's kind of like a black suit. He can do whatever he wants. He has the authority on everybody. He's like laughing at them and stuff, and he's really likable. It's not the normal character that would be likable, but he kind of is, and I think that's a bit more credit to the film, I guess. But more down to Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's got one fantastic. I mean, he's got a lot of good scenes, but there's one standout scene with him, which we can get to in spoilers. There's not really much to spoil in this one, probably by like 2 or 3 scenes.
We're probably going into like minor spoilers now, anyway. Especially this next thing I was going to say, but there were moments where it's a good performance from his character, and I guess this is just the performance of Jeffrey Dean Morgan anyway, where he straddles the line between villain or good guy, and you never quite know where you stand with him. And there's a moment in this movie, I think it's tied to your favorite scene with it, in that I thought they were going to set up something where it was going to like flip around and maybe he'd be the bad guy, or set up something for a sequel. And that plot point never kind of gets resolved at the end. So maybe it is still open to interpretation. Maybe they will get a sequel out of this. I don't know. We've talked about the visual effects and the action. Is there anything else we can really talk about, or do you want to get into spoilers?
The giant monsters.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we have George, the giant gorilla, also known as Ron Perlman. Then we have the wolf. I guess it's worth saying Deathstroke made a one-scene cameo.
Yes,
also known as Flash Thompson, the real Flash Thompson, not that nerd from Homecoming.
I thought it was Scott Adkins when I first saw the movie, and then I realized that, oh no, I recognize that face from that really obscure post-credit scene of Justice League.
With the grey hair.
With the grey hair, and then the scars on his face, yeah.
He had a good scene, which I guess is a spoiler, because I thought it'd be different to how it ended up. But I wanted the design on the monsters. The alligator looked stunning. So we had George the gorilla, the wolf, and then we had... And this was it. This was one of my favorite lines, where I'm assuming this is a reference to the game, but Negan basically comes out and says, "Those internet weirdos, they've even given him a name, Ralph."
Yes, yeah. I thought that was a nice nod to the video games. I like that,
because that was kind of like, let's be honest, the only people that would name that would be people on the internet in this day and age.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually quite a funny line.
Yeah, apparently there's a scene in the movie where you can see the Rampage arcade machine in the background. I didn't notice that, but I've heard that that's in the movie somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's hidden.
That's weird though. If that is in the movie, it's like, this all sounds so familiar based on a video game already.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, I think the crocodile is the only one that's not named by their video game counterpart name. Like, at no point in the movie do they call it Lizzie.
What I didn't really. I mean, I understand the concept of the crocodile that he comes in at the end, but imagine not knowing anything about this film. They would probably thought it was Godzilla coming out of the water, because they have this big build-up for like half the film that we're seeing slowly coming through the lakes. But that design on that alligator was absolutely amazing. Considering we've seen Annihilation like a month ago with the mutated crocodile, I would say that Annihilation was a lot scarier in what they do with it. It's a completely different film, but just the design on this crocodile was just amazing, and just seeing it like ransack the city. It's what you're there for. You're paying the money to see these giant monsters destroying things. That's all it is.
Here's a question. Would you like to have seen more of the monster destruction in this film throughout the movie? Or do you think there's just the right amount of it?
I think we have the right amount, because I think you get into the border of, if you're just going to blow up a city for 2 hours, then what's the point? We get a lot of the big city ones, but I will give them credit for the structure that they know everyone's going to see the monsters. So if you let them fight at the end, destroy the city, then in the meantime, just have them killing people in different scenarios. It's hard to dissect a film like this within that. But if we'd have had them all fighting in a city, disappearing, going back to fight another city, then I reach in Transformers territory, where doing these individual arcs of George the gorilla, having the wolf, the moments in the jungle, and it being on the run, and then the alligator coming at the end, I thought it worked right. You got the right screen time for each one of their importance. Yeah,
because it's a fine balance with any movie like this. If you go too far, you go into Transformers territory where it's just too much, and it's just like, this is just noise now, get me out of this cinema. Or you go the Godzilla route, where you don't see the monsters, you keep teasing them, and then at the end it's like a little too late. So I think I would have liked a little bit more, I think, just like here and there, but you have your main action beats, so you have your stuff at the start that establishes it, you have your big plane action sequence, you have your wolf action sequence, and then you have your big finale with all three there. It's going to be very difficult, though, if they do a sequel, and this is absolute spoiler alert right now, in that they kill 2 of the monsters. I didn't play all of the video games, so I don't know if in each one they introduced new monsters throughout, or I don't know how they're going to handle that. But I really like the monster designs. They went more for a I don't know how to describe it, a more realistic look than how they are in the video games. Like the wolf's blue in the video games, like they kept it sort of stripped back, but they made it fly for some reason in this. I don't think that was ever explained.
It was weird because in the forest, like, wait, did that thing just like swoop around? But you never know. Then at the end, it does. What I will say is that we had the most Phantom Menace moment I've ever seen with "There's Always a Bigger Fish," where the wolf literally jumps into the jaws of the alligator, and it then rips its head off, which is actually quite a brutal scene. I mean, they show this beheading and everything, and then they get eaten. But like that, the alligator was the MVP. You knew that to fight George. Go back in spoilers. I was very shocked George made out alive. And the weirdest thing is that you cared.
Yeah, so at the beginning where they really like established this bond between George and the Rock, which was important, I thought. It was reminding me of stuff like maybe like King Kong or Mighty Joe Young with oh god, what's the name? Charlize Theron and Bill Paxton. Something like that where you really establish that bond and then you get to that heartfelt moment towards the end of the movie. There was a part of me that thought they would kill them. Considering they killed the other two, I thought they'd just wipe the slate clean and kill George off as well, but I was thinking they're very sort of like on the nose with setups they do throughout the movie, and they do this thing where the monkey's kind of like the ape, sorry, is swearing at Dwayne Johnson, and I thought, oh, they're probably going to do something like that, and that's exactly what they do. So he's still alive at the end of the film, although I don't know for how long, because I don't see the government or anyone standing for that gorilla still being alive after all the destruction that it did cause, regardless if it killed the alligator or not. So, yeah. I don't know what else I can say about this movie, in all honesty. Like, it's just three monsters destroying a city. What more do you want? Like, that's it.
How about like 100-foot gorilla sticking his middle finger up and then proceeding to... So basically, I think a bit of background for this story was that it's still the Easter... Well, as of tomorrow, it's not, but in England, it's still the Easter holidays. So where I famously like my sort of lunchtime screenings where I bring my lunch and it's nice and quiet. There's maybe 3 people max. It gets chill in the VIP section with your legs up. I had a family. I realized it was busy. I had a family sit behind me, and I could hear the little kids across the trails. I was doing my head in. I was trying to organise a trip to London for a couple of days, and all I could was this noise. And then they went silent when the film came. Good respect to the parents for that, for teaching their kids properly. And then you get the bit at the end where you have a giant gorilla doing, for those, you get that sign. You know it's going to come. No pun intended. You knew exactly what jokes they were going to make. And the best thing was the gasp behind me from the mother. And I just smiled to myself, but I knew that joke was coming, and I didn't know why. I knew he'd stick his middle finger up because they did it at the start of the film. You've got this giant gorilla who's almost just died in a fight, and he starts laughing and like just swearing and stuff. Like, it just suited what this film was. It was just a mindless sort of monster film.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen Pacific Rim yet, the new one, but I heard with that apparently it took itself really seriously. Made the exact same mistake the first film did. So everyone went to that to see giant robots and giant monsters fighting. It needs to be silly. Pacific Rim tried to be a proper drama, apparently John Boyega. That didn't help it itself. Whereas you get the odd. I'm trying to think what. I mean, we said Kong, Godzilla, Gareth Edwards. It worked for what it was doing, being a more serious film that could work within the way he shot it, the way he did his action or whatnot. There are faults within that, but that worked as a serious film. Whereas some of that Pacific Rim doesn't work being serious. Imagine if they'd tried to take this seriously, no chance in a million years would have ever worked. So, I think overall, like it's fine. Like, it's just minor. Switch your brain off. It's. I mean, it's not perfect by a million miles away. There are some boring moments, but I think what you're going in for, you do get what you expect from it.
Yeah, and it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's like 2 hours long? I think the movie. It's not like Transformers where it's like 2 hours, 53 hours. Like that would be ridiculous, but it's just, for me, it was just the right length. Maybe they could have cut it back a little bit more. Like, for example, Lucas in the comments is saying that it's just another mindless monster film like Pacific Rim, in my opinion. I can't lie, I was bored at parts, but the last 20 minutes was dumb fun, which is what I'm there for. Yeah. I can agree with that. Like, I don't know if I was bored. I was just sort of, I knew exactly what the movie was, and it was fine in terms of that. There's one last thing I want to say about the movie, though. This is really minute, and it's not all the time now where something will be in the trailer and then it isn't in the movie. There was one line that I was really looking forward to, which was one of my favorite lines from the trailers. And what they changed it to in the movie, I absolutely hated. So it's in the moment where The Rock and Naomi Harris are in the helicopter, and then the crocodile first bursts out of the water. And then trailer, he has a line saying something like, "That's just like what I thought we were missing right now was like a giant crocodile." And in the movie, they change it to, "Well, that sucks." Like that, it's like I don't know why they'd switch that line. I don't know if it's because they thought maybe that, well, of course she'd see the giant crocodile. Like, how could she miss it? So change it to something else. But that was the only thing that I noticed in the trailer being different to the movie, and I don't quite know why they changed that line. I'm going to give my overall opinions now because I think we've probably talked longer than we could have done on this movie. I think it's fine. I think it's deserving of the percentage that it's currently on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a very average movie. It's a fun popcorn flick. Like, if you've seen the trailer, if you like this kind of movie, mindless destruction, kind of like really dumb jokes in a dumb action film, you're going to like this movie. The visual effects are spectacular, and I agree with Lucas in the comments that the last 20 minutes is probably the best bit of the film. That's what you're there to see. Everything else is very formulaic. You can write this story in your sleep, but I had a good time with it. Would I watch it again? Probably not, but it was exactly everything that I thought it would be, and I had a good time at the movie theater, and that's all I wanted for this movie.
Yeah, it's a film that I know exactly what I'm going in for. I want to see The Rock. I want to see these giant monsters fighting. This isn't going to be, you know, a masterpiece and whatnot. This is just going to be mindless fun. It's blockbuster season. This is kind of, you know, we've got Infinity War in 2 weeks. Let's just have something to really just not get you. I mean, it's not getting you excited at all. Of course it's not. But, you know, this isn't. You can see why this film's come out this time of year. It's not big enough to get that June, July slot. You know, not everyone's going to watch it, but this is still going to make money. And to its credit, this is done amazing in China. Mm-hmm. I think worldwide, it's the opening weekend. So because they did pull it back a week, didn't they, to get an extra week?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And I think overall, for this weekend, it's made 150 mil, which isn't bad for a giant monster film. Yeah, and it will probably end up making maybe 300 mil if that, but China love it. Infinity War's out next week, so give themselves a week, 2 weeks of making money, and they'll probably get their money back, the company. And it was just one of those films. It's not a film you'd see again. It's definitely not The Rock's best film of the last couple of years, but it's just another one to add to his collection, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and it's in a weird stance now where, is this technically the best video game movie that I've seen? Probably. Like, I don't know where I'd rank this next. I had more fun at this than Tomb Raider, for example, so maybe this is the #1 movie. And if that's the case, that's a little bit sad, but hopefully, well, I'm sure we're going to have more video game movies in the future, and I don't know whether this is going to get a sequel. I guess it depends how well it does. I could see them doing a sequel out of it because you really haven't got to change the formula up all that much. But no, that'll do it for our review on Rampage. So be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this movie. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? What are some of your favorite Rock films? Anything related to this movie, please do drop us a comment. And I guess you've just teased it right there. So our next review next week will be the big one. It will be Avengers Infinity War. It's the movie that we've been looking forward to for a long time. Arguably kind of like the big finale, or at least the first stage in the finale to the entire MCU that started way back in 2008. We're both looking forward to that one, so look out for that next weekend. What else can we announce after that?
Tate's back.
Tate is back, yes. We're going to do a battle of the brackets. I don't know if we can give away just yet what that battle of the brackets is going to be, but there will be one on the horizon. I think it's our favorite show, isn't it? I think it's fair to say that we love doing battle of the brackets. So it'll be a nice one to get Tate's return on. And next month will be our 3-year anniversary on the channel, so we've got some video ideas for that as well. If you're a movie fan, if you've just discovered us through this video, please hit that subscribe button, stick around because we've got a lot more content coming out. Have you got anything else to say, or are we pretty much
like we're starting to boost up on Instagram, Facebook? We're doing more posts, so we're going to try and get more active. I can give a hint for our battle of the brackets that Tate will be in it, so there'll be tears to flow, and I can't tell you precisely what the bracket is, but the theme is Marvel.
Yeah.
That's going without saying. So that's going to be, from the past ones, a very lively one. We're just trying to put together a date and whatnot. But stick with us. We've got some content coming. We'll be bringing back the news as well, which we both kind of miss. It's been like 4 months. So that is going to be coming back now. We're a bit more freed up and stuff, and there's more of us to sort of boost around. So we'll be back as ever with new stuff. And I guess that's everything I can say. Like, get hyped for Infinity War.
Yes, I'm sure you'll show off your little piece of merchandise that you've bought related to that movie during the review, maybe. So don't give away that just yet. There'll be more reaction videos from me the next couple of days as well. I need to get on an Incredibles 2 one. There's a bunch of other ones coming out, like a new Jurassic World. Essentially, we're not stopping the content anytime soon, so stick around. That'll do it from us today, and until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.